they're torturing people, and I want nothing to do with any of that. I mean, you know, people will talk to me like, oh yeah, the library or in the lobby or something, but it doesn't mean I like them. It means I'm surrounded, and you know, they still look like people, and it's not like I'm on a deserted island. So that's all that means. It means you still have remnants of society, which, you know, the zombie apocalypse happened, but it didn't happen with a full swing destruction to indicate. It was insidious in some ways, but insidious, no less evil. And these bums here in Washington targeted white Semites, warm-skinned Europeans, and white-looking. There is a racist accompaniment of the genocide. I just spilled coffee on the floor to make things worse, unfortunately. So I'm actually going to get it. That looks really bad. Yeah. I'm sure it looks bad on film, but you know, I've been reduced to living with nothing in here and just living like I am home. I think the worst is water. So if you hear anyone, no, you're not going to hear anybody normal. You're not going to hear anybody else. They're all lunatics. They're gone. And by the way, the electricity is faulty, and I believe that's a product of the genocide, because they also targeted anybody smart, pretty nice, and normal. So there's, you know, a lot of things don't work. That's very common here. And there's a pattern of inexcellence. And I won't threaten you. So if you hear somebody threatening you or sounding crazy, well, no, I'm not threatening you. What I would recommend is to call the FBI, the Homeland Security, and the president in another state. These bums here in this building also, and whoever comes here, they are not normal, they're not nice. They're in on plagues, they have amassed weaponry. They're not just cannibals, slavers, or not just cannibals, but they are slavers, they're torturers, they're rapists, they're murderers, they're child molesters. They're in on, I was modestly presenting to you a figure of 3 to 30 identities. By the way, I'm not white. And so you know how in danger I am to tell you all of this. But I was in danger already, I'm not going to pretend I wasn't. I was already on a genocide list, going back to the 80s, by the way. My big fat sister, very significant name, Dawn Blackmore. Blackmore Construction, Larry Blackmore's husband. They had me on a list. Why? Oh, Dawn didn't like it because I was a good baker. So I'm just sort of getting ready, and I feel a little woozy because I'm not used to eating vast amounts of protein sometimes, or a couple different types. And sometimes like if I haven't eaten a lot of protein, I feel like I'm going to fall over. And also, the building, it not only will smell like blood and guts and other smells, it can smell like, production of drugs and usage of drugs. So really, I might think it's just me drinking protein or eating something, and it's actually something they're doing in the building. You just never know. So there should be nobody breaking in. And when I leave, there should be nobody playing police. And what I've learned in these conditions, well, you know, you call the police on the alleged police. So dirty police, remember that, they cannot make their prostitute friends and other friends into a posse. They cannot make their retarded brother or son, and yes, I don't use politically correct here, even in my own family, they're retarded hillbillies always. Not interested in, addressing murder correctly, if I had to write an essay or something, yes, or a newspaper article, of course I would state it in more succinct terms. And I just heard something hit the wall, and these bums sacrificing poor little cats and other animals. You need to get rid of the breeders, and you're going to get rid of a lot of what the Satanists use to create evil. And, obviously, if you don't have the little dogs that the Satanists are harming and the cats, then you're not going to have fodder for the Satanists. And like a little ball sound at a wall, it's not necessarily an innocent sound, and there should be nobody here. So there's just a little thud made, like a whoop. So one way you can get rid of Satanists, and there's also a secret meat eating in Washington. We're listed as some sort of pink state for meat consumption. No, believe me, there's a lot more than pink that goes on. Why? Well, that means unregulated illegal meat. Because I smell meat 24/7 every day. And I have for 14 years. And now you can even think back to suspicious moments in like low income. Why would there be so much meat in low income when it's so expensive? And all those vegans and vegetarians, well, everything's a sham here. You can't trust them. Excuse me. It's hard sometimes to talking. Sucking. And you'll forgive me if I seem callous or cold or don't show a lot of emotion. Remember, I've been traumatized for 14 years of workday, and perhaps more, and actually my whole life. And I've learned that yelling and screaming, well, that's what zombie things want you to do, and then they put you. And even if you call 911 and you're not yelling and screaming, the zombie bums will be up to their tricks, and the crack whore that answers the 911 call will try to place you in outside the hall or state that you're even outside. So I'm going to drink some more coffee. I'm just going to sit for a second. Note that I've been chased out of my home, so when I turn the camera around, there's nothing here. No one's asking for money. It's just I've been offered things. Why would you have anything in a place that smells of terror and blood? Literally smells of terror, and has it coming off the walls, and it's surrounded by, it's all evil. So if you're worried about happy homemaker skills, which I definitely had, I'm not interested in one when I go to shop. And I also receive slave threats many times a day, including for ugly, foul, old zombies in the building or elsewhere. So, and there's a bum making a design, because yes, I am an artist, and so I haven't been able to practice art. Of course, I've been chased, around and nearly killed constantly. Oh, and by the way, I'd like you to know one of the zombies was threatening me for my coat, and they've been threatening me for my boots. This is nothing. Yesterday, a woman named Kathy Cott was slinking around with me at 207 and threatening me for my coat. I would note there is snow on the ground, and it's probably in the 30s. There's some freezing, so obviously it's 30s. I haven't looked at the weather in the moderate, so I would surmise. And note I have asthma, allergies, chemical sensitivities, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, a nearly broken arm that a while ago gives me trouble, that a policeman evidently was trying to break. And maybe he knew exactly where to break it. But anyway, so I got that, and then I got back trouble, hand trouble. By the way, one of the bums hiding, it's an ugly, bald, black male, and he's a psychotic moron, a drunk. And he's a rapist, and people are so psychotic here. Let me give you one of the latest stories. So he was talking to some firemen who was sucking up to down the street, Fire Station 16, and he stated something. Oh, one of them said, "So you like Lisa, do you?" And as I passed, I said, "That's a big deal from age." And 1532 has just come in a silver van, by the way. Silver mint fan. It's older with kind of a dull finish. But anyway, and so it's typical of the boogeyman to ignore the female or even the child, whoever their child is. And so, is there a question about me liking him? No, he's an ugly, grotesque, evil monster. And then he finished up in a conversation sort of with asides to the firemen. This is normal for zombies. He said something to the effect of, she'll need to be medicated. So you've got ugly old freaks on crack that are slavers, generations of slavers playing medicate you, and they're dealing with police. It's usually, it's the whole state too. It's not just about black and white. Many whites and white-looking decided to go with the black Nazis, but it seems to be a foul, moronic black Nazi-run state. It's like being in a third world country. I could have actually been in Russia, even during, war pending or somewhere else, like even Afghanistan, and then depending on where it was, I might have actually been safer. I might have got to worry about shelling or something, but, I might have actually been better off. We just don't know. It's been that bad. I could have been in a rickety town in Mexico, maybe I would have been better somewhere else. Earthquake zone, better off. What I'm just saying, it's been very dangerous. I go out and you have to watch zombies hitting you on purpose with cars, and they'll scoop you up, put you in a wall, maybe have a doctor sort of patch you up, and then you're sick. And remember, I'm very sick. I don't even mention all the things wrong with me, including the bleeding ulcers or the heart and stuff. Sometimes I forget to say this. I have nosebleeds. I don't eat meat. And the zombies, by the way, are obsessed with not just money, property, credit. That's why they kill people. And I'm not white. I'm actually Native Black or more, and then also some Native American. But they're obsessed, I think they're not white, to tell you that even if you wanted to accuse me of racism, no, you can't. I'll tell you why. Whites that might looking and Semites and more Europeans should also say that they want not just black Nazis in their favorites. So you've got a reverse of Hitler. Hitler was anti-Jew and he was possibly part Jewish. So you've got pro-Jew here, pro-Semite, like I said, white, warm complected European. You've got Semite down. And, obviously I look, I grew up thinking I was white. But then it's like you meet your cousins who look like they're black, or like they're Native American, very thin, dark. A state patrol just put up on the highway. I will note, and I teach you little tricks about gang members. So, a state patrol, or like yesterday, there were police parked at the end of the street. Dirty policemen do hang out here. The bums like to mix and merge whom are policemen, whom are professionals. So just that sight alone, or the sound of a siren, might actually galvanize, be the first thing where people become galvanized into actually pretending they're police and running that. So usually when there's a dirty policeman in the building, the dirty policeman will hide. He'll lie and pretend nobody is trying to harm you, including if he's on duty for Seattle Housing Authority. They have a long time history together of probably bribes, and where the dirty policeman actually suppressed the victim rather than the crime. Long time history, and this hit me about 14 years ago. I had dared to play about meth, which seemed to be wherever I went in a low income. And obviously, low income, because I have all of those problems. I'm one of those people, I think I've had really bad allergies to mold without even knowing it. If you don't help yourself, though, you're eating a lot of cheese. I know I have I think it was mental too. But, that is one of my proteins, which I feel guilty about because, yeah, that's it. go without cheese or even eat less. And by the way, I'll let you know that these bugs, they're consumed with food, literally. Let's turn it around. They're consumed by lots of food, and they will try to starve you, and they have irrational systems they use in coding, and also the zombie bugs will portray, or they seem to believe that you're eating their food even if you go to the food bank or buy it. And so I'm going to show you the evolution of crime next time, as I call it, where I go to the food bank and 8 black Nazi males threatening to rape me, 4 or 5 white-looking weirdos or in between, and then I'm going to try to keep it up the battery charge. It might take me a month, and then where you're hearing people in a crawl space yelling, "You ate food, you went to the food bank," and I'm going to keep showing you. Even if I have to show you after they've done something, I'm going to show you people that have threatened me to rape at the food banks. It's connected, and they will even play rape for food and starving you. So that's what they did to white Semites, Moors, and Europeans, along with the other things I mentioned in my videos. Remember, I'm not an expert, and I want you to consult, if you have any questions about your safety, I want you to consult the fine experts, including on YouTube, such as Marines and martial arts experts, and they're, they have a lot of books out, they have classes, it's not forget classes, there's police manuals, that you can actually find as well. So remember, I'm not an expert, and remember, you've got a really stubborn person who would have been dead the first day if they weren't stubborn. And I want you to note that a lot of these bugs, part of their threatening, they'll actually target people, so that people walk off them like sheep. And they either become an Igor that gets killed, or an Igor that makes a lot of money and takes people's property. And by the way, the gang member zombie things, they love to frame other people for their property. So if they can get, or they also love, well, they're very dishonest. And I'm not going to talk the whole time. Remember, these are security tapes for me. See me up on paper. That's why I help the floor. I think I'll turn the camera around. There's some water. Significant amount of water there. I'm going to turn the camera around because I've been threatened with a break-in using my own bathroom. Also, a literal break-in where you fall through the floor. Apparently, Don Larry Blackmer, Michael Hudhope, they've done that kind of harm for years with their construction company. And there's still possibly a couple dirty cops, including Officer Rob Howard, and then there's a fat old man from a North Precinct as well. And he looks like a sack of manure. I'm being polite. And he's homely, and he's got a red face, and he's tall and large. He has like this gourd, like a beetroot complexion, and but a gourd head. By the way, I see certain characteristics in the decimations, as I call them. So one of them would be the man who has a gourd head. That's somebody I see over the gourd head. The features that look like somebody just threw a threw the nose on. Jack-o'-lantern head. People seem to think that was good looking or normal. And another one, sort of a compressed looking head with large ears. Guess what? Ironically, I wouldn't have noticed these people or tallied them up anyway if there were a diverse population. I noticed them more because they used to be pretty, and I have a glass thrown at me and placed on possessions. We talked about that. And so I was pretty, so you've got all these people that think they're pretty. Why? because they actually mutilated people, some that didn't make it out alive. And so you've got all these really ugly people that are acting like they're pretty just because they harmed people. And they're obsessed with destroying the face. And so when you hear people chanting even satanically to destroy people's faces and constant psychotic threats from prostitutes thinking that they'll be pretty if they destroy a face, well, guess what that did? Well, you're working on this stubborn personality. You're stimulating. You're poking it. So the stubborn personality is now really looking around at the people who killed them, including their own family. And they've been killing people for years, and it's, so modestly, I would say they have 30 to 30 identities. Some of them have 3,000. Not just my family. I'll be right back. And they were boasting this morning, and remember these are one of my alarms was not going off this morning, and of course my camera was down, which I can't help. Sometimes there's, oh, the battery goes, there's not enough electricity, and so one of the retards was boasting about, in 3 days, you'll be shaking, you won't be able to do anything, you'll be shaking. And they're making heroin threats. And the thing is, what they've done to white Semites and warm-skinned Europeans, including the dirty cops, are in with them, and even semi-professional, professional, like doctors, fake professionals, nurses, fake doctors, like I said. And so they'll actually inject people with substances, they'll put poisons and they'll put also disgusting things in your apartment or house or in you. They'll have people rape you that have diseases. Your food is tainted, and they boast about it. And these are things that are in on plagues. Who's in on a plague? Retardos. They're retardos like Kathy Cox, like a 30 IQ moron, or just people that are morons. Like a welfare person that's clearly a moron. They've got those things, believing they're cops, diplomats, even angels. So, oh, by the way, you will hear me doing exercises like psychic energy activity and cursing. And gritting if I grit my teeth and make a face, it doesn't mean I'm rictus or on drugs like the rest of these things. It means I'm cursing. Even as they're trying to break in. You know what I mean? So you gotta get rid of stress somehow, huh? Okay, so to start getting ready, I'm gonna turn out lights. You don't need lights when I'm getting ready, and I'm gonna make sure, oops, this, by the way, needs to be charged. And I have trouble with my chargers. It does, sometimes phones can do this. And so constantly fiddling with the sides, and it's like changing chargers. And remember, there's morons yapping and chanting as I'm talking too. And there's nobody normal, nobody smart around me. They're all gone. They're all retardos. Picture possessed jackals in a movie, or possessed creatures. They're mindless, they're evil, there's nothing left of them. That's Washington. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing left. I tend to wash my hands and things with the rubbing alcohol. And by the way, these bombs will poison water, they poison food. Remember, who's seemingly in charge of fate? It's the retard. And the dirty cops like retardos because they just won't let go. And what they did for years in Washington is to clean up the reputation of the phrase moronic lunatic. It was in the workforce for years. There's been this war on people for years. So let me get here. What do I need? Do I buy floss? I don't think I have my floss and I need it. And so you'll hear at least, you can hear thousands of breaths a day and thousands of this you will format. And do I listen to them? No. Why? Well, if you listen to these morons, you could get killed. And let's say you went off with also the guy who's torturing animals. Well, you're never going to save an animal by going off with the animal. He will actually force you to torture animals. So you never want to do that, ever. And why would you let an ugly bum like that, that's a rapist, tell you what to do? One of them is an ugly Indian male that looks like a slug. And remember, the ugly boogeyman in Washington is also very dangerous, so is the boogie woman. They cleaned up to look like they're normal in most cases, even though some of them are beyond hope. They look like institution level. They've actually dragged people off. So they think they're good looking. The rapists even act like they're studs having sex. That's common of the rapist. The rapist male will think they're having, or appear to think they're having sex, including young, disgusting rapists. They might have, if they weren't cannibal zombies, a lot of these people, but they're morons. Moron seems to go with it. I think they're deficient anyway, and I think they see, what I see is a pattern of deficient and crazy, choosing deficient and crazy and ugly to live. They put ugly in there. Untalented. So, I think I grew up with deficiency DNA everywhere, and I didn't even notice in Washington. And it was because they were killing people. So, once people start killing people because they're smart, pretty nice, talented, just like what they do in World War II, the Nazis did that. Well, then of course, you're going to end up with retardos. Now, this morning, I know I had armed the interior, and eventually it's very whimsical. It's an ADT, you can't trust it. Also, there are ADT people who come here, and they are cannibal zombies. If it sounds psychotic to suggest they go to the same building, well, what goes on is a zombie circuit. And remember, they're also trying to get money, property, credit. Money, property, credit. So I'm going to work on a few things over here, including, there's the ugly Indian is playing panties, and he's talking about panties in 207. And he's droning on about panties. He's a grotesque thing. He looks like a frog, and he's about 5'6", and he will insist that women want it, even though he's hideously ugly. This is a product of what happened. They get very arrogant. There's something about the Satanism that also makes them think they're pretty. They're also taught to believe that if they harm someone, which we know is irrational, or an animal, they think if they harm an animal that they're going to be pretty. We know that's irrational. And he is no better looking than a pollywog or some sort of, like a beetle. And even a gang-scarred woman doesn't want these things. They're too ugly. Another game they play, and you can tell my people who knew me played this game, it's a game of, well, it's your boyfriend from 30 years ago, I'm here, or he's here, and you're going to go off with him. Is that, I don't mean the Indian guy, but they'll play that one too, even though he wasn't. It's your best friend from 16 years ago, you're going to go with her. So that, what does that also tell you? It tells you there's nobody left. Just like the other irrational ideology of the bombs. Just flossing out of camera. So also what these retardos have done, and this is an interesting component for me. So picture every ugly moron telling you how ugly you are because you're scarred, and then the ugly morons then telling you it's your boyfriend, you're going to go with him. And first of all, you're not dealing with somebody who is stupid enough to go with an ugly moron. And I can still, even through my scratches, I can see that it's an ugly moron. And nobody's desperate enough to go with the ugly moron. And I'd rather go off with a painted beach ball, like, you know, a certain movie. Copyrighted. Yes, it's copyrighted. The beach ball is actually more attractive. And a lot less dangerous. More amusing. Probably more intelligent. I'm just brushing my teeth. And note, as I go into the hall, there's usually an ambush plot, even when managers are on duty. And there's probably a smell of blood. I've got to turn up the exhaust fan. And then, so these zombies use like I call it a wall network. Why? Because you won't know what's going on. It could be a basement, a shed, could be a tunnel. It could be an old, apparently unused missile silo. Could be your eaves, even a cottage. Could be a basement that's been dug out. I actually seem to have used a lot of water already. I have to get more water. There's a bomb making decrees in 207 as I'm talking about. La 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 blah 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 blah. So that's also what you hear with the zombies. Constant decrees, constant threats. And just hearing morons alone can be very wearing and tearing. Evil is wearing and tearing, so is the fact they're all morons. So, hearing ugly, retarded freaks think that they can tell you what to do, and, you know, just having to hear them. The fact that they exist, it's wearing and tearing. There's a bomb making a threat about my boots on. Yeah. Remember, there's snow on the ground, as one of the broadcasts is showing, and it's 30s weather at least, 30 something. Just kind of washing up. There's a bomb playing blah 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 Monday blah 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 husband blah blah blah. Remember, they like to play words that they think have power, including magically. So apparently, one of the traits of the state is like this mental health issue that's like a good old boy's mental health issue, where these ugly, retarded males and the ugly, retarded females think they have power playing husband. It's her husband. So it's also not just like a false relationship. Oh, it's, you know, they're going to harm you because it's visible and they're doing this and they're pretending to be your husband. It's also like they think they're magical. Unbelievably, they also made a reference to an author at many times, and clan of the you know what, Jean Owl. And it's a certain character that raped the actual human. They called themselves here many times, and they played the name that starts with B-R-O-U and it ends with a certain letter. They have used this reference, and so what they're stating, they're basically stating they're not the evolutionary humans. Separate lineage. Not just certain colors, but Seems like all the colors played this one in Washington. And it's ironic because you're going to start to see that they've lost their humanity anyway. And now if you want to get into conspiracy theory, these things were dead 10 to 12 minutes. And Satan, who is not a lord, he actually had to make his crew quickly after a war, supposedly. And remember, the devil had already fallen millions of years ago. And anybody who tells you he didn't, they're a liar, they're a Satanist. What they're trying to do is reform with the Antichrist. And so you've got a bunch of lunatics, and I was hearing people, if you believe, that sounded almost, and I still hear them, they sound like cartoon characters. And their brain seems different, and so they even had, according to what I hear, and, oops, and remember I'm not a geneticist, but they have, oops, and here's that cord that's not working, and I've got to work on the battery. Charging. Ha! Let's see if I can just put it here and pick it up. No. Well, anyway, I'll do that in a minute. But, you know, I'm standing here not nicely attired or anything. Well, I don't wear nice clothes anymore. I've been chased out of house and home and existence. Like I said, I don't worry about fripperies. Why? Well, you don't need fripperies when you're when someone's trying to haul you into a truck. You don't need fripperies when someone tries to kidnap you out of your apartment. You know, why would you supply for slavers that are kidnappers, torturers? So you don't need anything. And they're going to try to use your identity to do this anyway. So, you know, you don't need these people. I should have left 14 years ago. I just should have said, yeah, I'm kind of crazy. Here I am. Across the United States. Showing up somewhere. Would have been better off. Maybe. But see, you never know, do you? Especially sick like I am. Whoops. Didn't need this. Fiddling around with cords. Cords not working. Cords off. Cords old that are too low. Cords that are old. And so, still fiddling around with cords, changing them, sort of like this very disgustingly disturbed little hypochondriac phone today. This hypochondriac must have its little cord changed every few minutes. Little sweater put on it. But then, ironically, because, you know, ZTEs, they don't like getting cold or liquid on them. But then if you put them somewhere warm, it's like, no, I'm going to zap all the battery out. I saw you for a minute, battery. It's like you start up. Don't move. Don't move. Can't stand that noise either. B52 noise of the heater. It's annoying when it's right by you. Anyway, so the ugly Indian guy is in 207. He looks like a fat slug if you ever see him on my video. He is retarded like everybody else in the state. And even if you wanted to say I'm racist, well, you're dealing with someone who's part black and part Native American. And as that, I will tell you, if you're white, Semite, and warm-skinned European, you should have been able to say whatever you want, as often as you wanted, and whichever way you wanted about anyone of color that was racist, clearly racist. And it would have helped the world immeasurably. After all, it's not just people of color. And Also, I have learned that white, well, that can be very deceptive. I get as pale, I'm paler than a lot of whites. Why? Well, I'm ill, absolutely ill, and I turn blue. And I don't eat meat. So I'm gonna out-white you, like with the blue in your skim milk, baby. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, so I look white. That was sick. It doesn't mean I'm trying to replace whites like these retards are. I would never do that. Or anyone else. I'm not going to pretend that I'm... So that's one of the first things they do. They'll pretend that they are of the ethnicities that they have targeted. Whether it's Italian or whether they're targeting Jewish people, they'll portray that they're Jewish. Even if they're, so it's just, it goes on and on. Hopefully not for long right now. You know that I am very pro-Israel. I had to make a choice too. One of the reasons is because I hear constant chanting against Semites, so I had to go very pro-Semite. Otherwise, I'm just part of the problem. I have to, and I always liked Italians and French and Jews anyway, and Europeans, British people, and Irish people. So I have to go very pro, and I'm pro-animal anyway. I have to go very pro. I have to go pro-God. Anybody who's abused that I like, I have to really be proactive, which means not eating meat. And even though people are gross cannibal zombies here, I still don't want to eat them, even if they threaten me. That's not power, that's actually grotesquerie. Even if it's the very worst of the worst that wants to kill me, I'm not going to eat her. Blech. Not interested in sitting in a wall torturing her. Blech. Ooh, I just burned my eyes. Wah! So... Wow. Did it? And ironically, I'm rinsing in an orange juice container that had ginger. Oh no, maybe that one didn't have ginger. Maybe it did. Oh, it does. Yes, let's rinse our eyes out. It's very good. I'm gonna try that at home. Ginger is not an eye rinse, usually. Remember, it's peppery. I think a bath in it might be nice. I don't take baths here. The water is disgusting. And also, so I will bathe in what? In water I bring in. And these disgusting, remember these things will try to tell you what to do, zombie things. And one of their big things they'll tell you to do is to take a bath in blood, or they will try to consecrate you in blood and other foul bodily substances. Think about it, they're rapists. And that means even the gross, ugly police and freaks in the building. So there is not one innocent person in the building, I'd like to mention that, so they all need to be dragged off, right even down to the ugly old lady in the wheelchair. And by the way, if it's an ugly old white looking lady in a wheelchair, can you guess how she survived and looks like she's unscathed? She was a cannibal zombie. She is one. She has tortured, and yes, she has raped. And yes, women in gangs, whether you call them zombies or not, they are as much of a rapist. Including my own disgustingly disturbed, retarded, black Nazi family. There's a black Nazi moron up here. He sounds like he's talking into a tube. And he looks like a jack-o'-lantern. Sometimes the black, or not just the black Nazi, but the zombie morons, they'll absolutely sound like zombies. And they sound like they're talking in a hollow tube. One time, it was a nice day, and I also recorded, you know, I was talking, and I was talking to the squirrels, which you have to watch here, because these bums will follow you. And then they'll, unfortunately, target the squirrels or whomever you've been visiting with. And, oh, and there's a whore yapping, and she said, "Shall open your legs today." These things will chant and yap, and I want you to watch them. Now this, to me, this would show some danger. You might say they're hypersexual, but it's rape. So, a whore just yapped in 207, "Shall open your legs today." So, any of you out there that are, quote, cybering, or whatever you call it, having cyber sex with Washington, you're having sex with people who worship demons. They're not, and they're, you know, it's not even going to be like your online boyfriend from 20 years ago. I don't know how many of you had an online friendship or whatever, that someone you never met, oh, let's get together, and you never do, or whatever. Well, these are not normal. They're not even perverted normal. They're gone. They're blood drinkers. They're turned on by violence. So you might even find yourself, now there's a suspicious, now I like to tell on whites, of course, as well. There's a suspicious character at the library, and I believe I've heard him here. He seems to have a white child and a black child. I'm wondering if he didn't kill his partner to get over here, from what I hear. I mean, kill her afterward, obviously. Oh, excuse me, I have to curse. So these bums will try all different games. Remember, once somebody's ensconced with these black Nazis, you could say, well, it's Italian. What's your favorite? Not if they're ensconced with black Nazis killing Italians. And that happens. It could be somebody from the Holy Land. It's like, well, they're no longer from the Holy Land. They've been killing their own kind and other Semites. There's nothing left of them. And I'm more Jewish than they are. So don't give me that crap. By the way, I've been targeted as a Jew and an Italian. And I used to, well, I used to dye my hair. And I would look quite white, but apparently, isn't that funny about hair? So I've been especially, it's like, what is your ethnicity? Well, lately it turns out it's blue. It's very blue. My color is blue. But anyway, that's not what's important. It's called not a zombie, not a Satanist. There's my ethnicity. Not one big evil retard head. By the way, these bums will indicate something's wrong on a paranormal level. They will say things that are rather shocking, such as, she's got a head. Oh, we took her head. We actually have a head now. But remember, you have to watch figuring out what they're doing. Why? Because they absolutely are involved in human body parts. Selling, buying, playing with. So, I have to wash my feet, and I'm going to put on my socks. Remember, now, of course, sometimes I can't get in to do laundry, but you might say, do you stink? Just took a sink bath. No. Did all the old ladies that you knew that took a sink bath stink? Did your grandma stink? Did your grandma stink to you? How about your aunt? So if those people stunk to you, then, but you have to understand too, would I rather take a bath in acid with, horrors floating around in it? I'm done with even try. That's what they'll do. The dirty cops will even have you bathe in meth lab byproducts. You don't need to wash my feet, it's gross. I don't want to feed any foot fascists. I'm sure that they're not watching the video for this. And believe me, even if I were so inclined, I just don't have the time to put it in. It's disgusting anyway. I just don't have the time for a foot fetish this video. You know, I'm not going to apologize for it either. Oh, there's a bum playing act like a loan shark. What they'll do also, you hear this act like, look like. These things are also trying to do magic. So they're thinking they're going to have spirits, including animals, acting a certain way in spirit. And yes, it's sick. And well, that shows you why that Satanists need to actually be put away. Why do I wear black? Well, I like it. Plus, black is mourning. What's there to be happy about? I would always like black. What's there to be happy about if you look at it for mourning? In a state where they're killing people for their money, property, treasure, and they're zombies anyway, there's a racist design, and they're trying to spread through other states and other countries, and they're hurting animals. What's there to look pretty for? What's good about that? Oh, and by the way, these retardos thought they'd also pick who were good looking and pretty. Remember, they targeted Semites, and guess what? Some of the Semites and Italians are some of the best looking people I've ever seen, along with, Europeans and the warm complected Europeans. And these retardos like to think they could pick whom were good looking. Isn't that funny? And according to what they're saying, I am the ugliest person on the internet, and I am the ugliest person in Washington. And then what they like to do is also run records backward and forward. So believe me, they're into facial mutilation. Like if you still, pass off as semi-normal after the glass and the acid, well, there will be then people that mash your face in when they break in, besides trying to debilitate you or injecting you. Dirty doctors like Dr. Jaffe, he's usually here on crack. He's taught people where to hit people in certain areas of the spine. He's not allowed to operate in any capacity, and he has threatened a lobotomy, which is illegal. Look it up. And the dirty black Nazis and the scum who went with them they'll routinely threaten lobotomies. And there's routinely a gun threat, and who puts guns in their hands? Dirty cops. And they make sure that their records of being, and I'm gonna say retarded, because my own family, they're mentally retarded. Some of them, I believe, including their special ed. A lot of special ed and, well, they were undiagnosed and also insane. They were undiagnosed. I believe if they were of color, they were able to get away with more. And what they did here, they often will refer to whites and white looking as mentally ill. White, like I hear the black Nazis saying my mental patient, you're going to hear the word my. And it might even sound like an object or a name. My Linda. What is my Linda like with the ugly Indian guy that looks like a poly? Oompa Loompa man, whatever you want to call it. My Linda, he said, not good looking, might as well be my Linda. So he means he's going to try to take me as a slave because I'm not good looking. But remember, he's a good guy. So who controlled the hand of fate? Oh, you want to hear a male? You'll see it over and over and over again. Now remember, it's one big evil head, so it's not like it's a bunch of different men, really him. It's a big round bulbous head, like, and then with the features spread out, and then there's a dark haired version of that, not very dark, maybe olive, with a lot of and it's not just one ethnicity, but you know they tend to classify here more moronically, so they might call them all Mexican in code. And so it's got a melon head, or a fairly rounded head, and then a beard is possibly encouraged, and then a stocky body. And they tend to be olive toned to tan, with brown or black eyes. Very popular. And remember, we're not, even you can't say that in a foreign country. It's like, yeah, you can see all these guys, they look all alike. It's like, excuse me? I see about 40 different faces. Yeah, they all have black eyes and brown eyes, but look, they all look different to me. I need it to dry off before I go out. Excuse me. Blah, blah, blah. This is a bum thing. Blah, 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 blah. Money for Lisa. Now, you're going to hear a lot of trickery and dishonesty with the gang members. We've spent money on, we've spent money for. We've given Lisa this. There's no relationship to spend money on. What you will find out is psychotic black Nazi males even will portray that they own the food banks. And you're going to find my grotesque, estranged family and other morons will portray that they spent money on you as if it were yesterday, or that they spent money on you at all, and it's been 18 years. And it's like, oh, I gave you a sweater in 1980. You're going to give it back to me. Through, slavery. I'm not kidding you. This was mentioned by Kathy Toomey, a stepsister I haven't seen except for slinking around. And I kept hearing, your family this, your family that, and your family's bad, they're evil. It was probably captives, too, trying to tell me my family were bad. And I'd hear them sneaking around. I'd see flashes of them, like, real people. Like, quickly driving away. And notice there's a moron yapping in 207. An utter moron. I think I'll have to have some Vicks and just, I will do it off camera. Gross. At least something to wipe on. Ooh, here's some Vicks. I'm a Vicks monster. And it's so, everybody's so ugly here and gross, you could leave a line of Vicks and you don't have to smell the zombies or like their sandwiches made of corpses, I'm not kidding, that leave a stench in the air that makes you sick, and, the blood. They absolutely will mix perfume with the blood. Also, one of their big, remember, they're hogs, so they want money, property, treasure, leisure. Oh, hang on, I have to say a little prayer. So anyway, I'm just making an affirmation that I like people and animals who hate the devil. no matter who it is. I mean, no matter who, and these things will go back and forth. They'll try to portray themselves as church people. Last night they actually had, this is a big one, they like to play priest exercising you. See, they pull these relationships that don't have power. That's a big one. Or the priest is here to marry you. So they've got this illegal marriage thing going on in Washington. And it's been on the news in other areas. It's actually a form of slavery. That's why they do it. And my own grotesque family, very much involved. I am actually allergic to the smell of blood, and I believe that's why I sickened also, not to act like, oh, it's all about me. But, you know, smelling a rotted corpse that's cooked is not really, it's not conducive to health. And if the smell of blood makes you sick, that's actually, in one way, a good thing. One by the way, they're playing chakra. Now, note, anything these Satanists chant or play, and you might say, oh, that's ridiculous, they can't curse you. Well, the thing is, what they do, they're going to play a game, including, quote, God by numbers. A false karmic system played in the visible as well. So they might chant that you're going in a wheelchair for 15 years. Well, by repeated hits to the head or pokes with a needle by people like Dr. Jaffe and his buddies, you could end up in a wheelchair. Then they're going to play big magician. So, like I said, if you see me move my hands, grit my teeth, yes, I'm cursing you. Me too. And yes, I'm feeling dizzy. Sometimes I feel dizzy from the smell of blood. Like, it's not just mental, like, oh, like, you know, some old, like, they used to show the CSI thing, or it wasn't CSI, like a CSI show, like, starts with a Q, old man, 70s, late 70s, and he, everybody thinks it's a cop. Well, it's physical, too. Plus, like I said, they're morons. Oh, and there's a whore cocking a gun at the area that it's to the left of where the refrigerator would be. And so she's showing you basically how the apartment sort of goes around. Oh, and the noise of my backpack and the backpack being hurled to the ground. Don't worry, this happens all the time, and it's not the kind of show. Why? Because you want to focus on visible morons in a wall that pretend they're ghosts. They even have connections with Seattle Museum of Mysteries, MUFON, Weird Science, and National UFO Reporting Center, including drugging people, pretending it's all about UFOs. Why would they do that? It was a fine way to hide their crimes. And Charlotte Lefevre and Philip Lipson and the other morons, all they were doing is covering up, killing people, raping, enslaving them, taking their money, their possessions, taking their credit. That's all it was. That's all it ever was. I'm sure of it now. And even if you think, well, yeah, they were legitimate 13 years ago, don't even worry. I've heard it goes back even pre-zombie. Don't even worry about it. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. It's my ginger, in case you're wondering. And so anyone that seems to be well off in this state anyway,
Well, they're suspicious. Anybody who's unscathed, unscarred, and they look white, yep. Or are white, or anybody. Guess what? Very suspicious. Very, very suspicious. What does it mean? It means they're involved in voraciously targeting, and there's a bum talking about skins, and it's in 207. And then they like to chant what apparently is nonsense. That's how you can get them put away. Vetting skin. And then they'll try to throw in a my, like it's their skin. They'll also even, you'll note, they'll call someone else ours, mine. And why? Because then you won't suspect who they're talking about. They're playing blah, 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 ours. So they'll also try to have you as a slave for X amount of time. You don't do it. They'll have you doing something illegal, and you will be holding the bag. Also, they'll have you doing something you would not forgive yourself for. And as usual, they're cocking a gun in 207. And the evil, creepy cops have their friends cocking guns, and so do evil freaks like Dr. Jaffe, Pat, P-A-C-T. By the way, it's been heard by Periscope. So there's a whore cocking a gun in 207. She's playing leaving with me, blah, blah, blah. No one's leaving with her. She's guaranteed to be a stinky hoe, including it's one of my relatives. There's 3 stinky hoe relatives in there. Remember, the stinky whores have been estranged. Some of them I've never met. Some of them I haven't seen in 30 years. There's nothing to see. They're stinky retards. There's a whore chanting about a bullet, and it could be a retard Carla formerly Logston. And she's chanting blah, 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 naysay, blah, 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 blah. So remember, you can absolutely get these things rounded up for chanting in gibberish. That is one way to get them rounded up. The freaks. Oh, by the way, Melissa Udd's ugly daughters are in 207. That's my ugly half-niece. And they're generations of cannibalism. Workers. Melissa Udd is here, and I've heard that 800 people alone for Melissa Udd gave up their precious lives to make that ugly thing look like it was talented or had abilities. This is what happens, and they even bury them or eat them or whatever. They'll be called Melissa. So they're also cursed in the spirit world by these ugly fucking freaks. Shut up, you ugly bitch. Nobody's gonna leave with you either, ugly bitch. There's an ugly bitch male telling him to leave. Just heard a whore in the hall. Pick your mental hospital, shit asses. Nobody's going with an ugly bitch. You're all grotesque lunatics. FedEx is here. Now, I will tell you that these bums will use just about any method of kidnapping. And there is a whore clicking a gun. Remember, Melissa Udd, Emily Udd, and her other ugly whore of a daughter. Lunatics and retards. And it was covered up that Melissa Udd was special ed by dead people. How? Well, some are dead too that were in collusion, but remember, they want to make these shit-ass morons look like they're talented. They also stole intellectual property by home break-ins and illegal surveillance. And nobody is trustworthy, not even the UPS, the FedEx, any of these things. They're things, they're gone, they're retardos. And usually the morons out front that I've shown that smoke out there, even they use vape, they're out there smoking and walking around, they're clearly disabled mentally. They're going to act like they're authority figures, and they can even charge people $1 million for being, quote, indentured. That's what my dirty freak family's in with. The ugly black Nazis. And we're talking everybody